So hello students, in the last video lecture we had started with the unit 4. We had studied that what an information system is, and we had seen that classification chart of 5 information systems, that is TPS, DSS, EIS, expert system, and your knowledge management system, that is KMS. We have discussed in detail what is TPS is, that it is used at the lowest level of management. It helps to solve the structured problems. Then we have discussed DSS, that is used at the middle level of management, and it helps to tackle all type of semi-structured as well as unstructured problems and helps for decision making. So now we are starting with EIS. EIS, that is Executive Information System, is basically a computer based system that is used at the top level of management. It helps the top managers to take decisions regarding the strategies to perform strategic decision making. EIS basically provides the information in a summarized manner with the help of all the data that EIS received from internal as well as external sources. So it's the responsibility of the EIS to perform exception reporting as well. Exception reporting means wherever there are inconsistencies, wherever there are errors in the working of the organization, EIS helps to find them out and to investigate its causes. So the features of EIS are that they provide immediate and easy access to information to the company from regarding the success factors that can help to the success factors. It provides access to a variety of database both from the internal as well as the external sources. It helps to tailor the preferences of particular users or group of users, because EIS, as the name suggests, is Executive Information System. It helps the executives, or you can say the CEOs or the board of management, to perform the decisions, right? EIS primarily serve the higher level management that we have just studied. It helps the top management in uncovering the problem or opportunity. So these are basically the components of EIS. We are having the executive, then executive staff. Executive staff is the intermediary between the EIS software and the executive. Executive staff is the actual person who posts query to an EIS software, and it displays the output graphically in the form of reports to the executives, right? So EIS software, where it gets its data from, EIS software get its data definitely from the database. Apart from database, we use the word data warehouse and data marts in case of EIS. What data warehouse is? Data warehouse is the historical collection of all the data of any organization, because to perform any decision by the executives at the top level, they need the summarization of all the data, including the historical data. They are not concerned with the day-to-day activity. Let me give you an example. Suppose Ratan Tata wants to know that which particular sector of his Tata group is performing well month-wise or quarter-wise. Suppose let's take it quarter-wise, right? Let's take Ratan Tata or the board of management at the top level. They wants to know that which particular sector of Tata group is performing well and where he needs to make more investment, right? So definitely it's not about recording the day-to-day transactions. He is not concerned about day-to-day transaction. What he is concerned about is the summary of the historical data, right? So that is why in the EIS we use data warehouses. And the second type of database that we can use with EIS is data marts. Data marts are basically the subsets of data warehouse. Data warehouse gives the complete view of an organization. Data marts are the databases that are having the historical data for each particular department. So data mart is basically a subset of data warehouse. Now, why I am telling you about all this is there is a term named as data mining. Data mining, you know what is mining is? Mining is basically finding out. We generally use mining word to find out the coal from the coal mines, right? So data mining means to extract the uncover hidden patterns from the data warehouse. That is data mining. Now suppose I want to predict something. I want to know that which particular sector, or suppose let's take another example. Suppose I want to perform my portfolio management. I want to decide that where I need to invest my money which can give me the maximum profit, right? So here we will perform the data mining. Data mining means I am digging into the data, all the historical data of that particular company where I want to invest, and we will find out that which particular company is giving the best results, the history of that company. Only then I will be able to decide should I invest in this company or not. So this is what data mining is, that I am digging into, I am mining the data to extract the information out of it, and on the basis of which I can predict and I can invest, or I can take any strategic decision. So this is how the whole EIS works, that we apply the data mining techniques. We have several techniques. We apply the data mining techniques on the database having the historical data, that is data warehouse, or the departmental data sets, that is data marts. We apply the data mining techniques to them. We give the results to the EIS software, and then the executive staff, they post their query on the EIS software, and the output is displayed to the executives in the form of some charts or some reports, right? This is how the whole EIS works. Now this is what is written there. EIS software basically can be of three types. We can have personal productivity software, that is basically a general purpose software that anyone can develop according to his requirement, according to his application. They can be a single user software, that can be a spreadsheet or an analysis package. It can be a pre-written EIS software. Suppose I am a company, I am not aware of how to develop my own EIS, I can ask any other IT company to develop an EIS system for me. That will be a pre-written EIS software. And the third one is the customized EIS software. Customized EIS software is a software that cater the needs of only one particular organization. Suppose any company, they are creating EIS softwares for other companies, but I am asking that company to customize that EIS software according to my needs. So that will be a customized EIS software, right? So that will definitely be more expensive and it will take more time. Next is the expert system. Expert system is basically a knowledge based information system. You know who an expert is? Experts are basically the people who provides their advice, who provides their suggestion regarding any problem, so that you can listen to their advice and you can take the decision wisely. So sometimes what happens is we don't have experts available every time. So what the companies has doing nowadays, that they have started using the expert system. Now again, suppose I want to invest in some types of mutual fund. Suppose any company, let's take it from the point of view of a company. If a company wants to make their investment and they need the advice of their experts, but experts are not physically available there, then what they can do is they can take the advice from the expert system. Expert system is basically a knowledge management system. It's basically a software where the advice, the suggestions of the experts are stored regarding some specific problem, right? So this is the just a minute. So these are basically the components of expert system. First is the user interface. User interface is basically the GUI through which you give the input or get the output from the system. Knowledge base is actually a type of a database only, where we store the advices of all the experts regarding some specific problem, right? It depends on the problem domain, that what my problem is. So some rules are stored, some advices of the experts are stored in the form of rules in this knowledge base. Knowledge base means a database of knowledge where knowledge is stored of the experts in the form of some rules. Then we have the inference engine. Inference engine is the actual component of that expert system where we post our query. Suppose any organization, they want the advice of some advice of expert regarding some problem, then using the user interface we give our query to the inference engine. Inference engine then take the help of the knowledge base, it interact with the knowledge base, and according to the query posted to the inference engine, the inference engine takes the take the help from the knowledge base and provides the required action that can be made according to the problem specified. Now then we have the development engine. Development engine is basically the engine that is used to create this expert system, and the development engine includes some programming language. Obviously when you are building the software, you need some programming language. Now what are the steps involved in developing an expert system? First, the problem is identified, the initial stage, because expert systems, they are specific to certain problems. An expert system cannot handle all types of problem. It depends what types of advices you have stored in the knowledge base of an expert system. So expert systems are specific to problems. So the first step that comes when we started developing an expert system is identifying the problem. Then a team is created who will work on the development of the expert system. Then a set of rules is specified that we need to store in the knowledge base according to the problem that expert system is going to work on. Then the prototype is developed. Prototype is basically you can say it's a type of a sample. A prototype is developed on the basis of the problem that is specified, and finally that prototype is tested to see if I post some type of query to the expert system, what result it will give, and do those results help me to take a wise decision or not. So the system, the prototype that I have developed is tested, and if it is required, it is refined, it is maintained, and it is changed accordingly, right? So this is what an expert system is. Finally, we are having the knowledge management system, the last information system that we have to study. Knowledge management system, you can say, is something similar to an expert system only. In fact, an expert system is a knowledge management system only. But the difference, you can say, is expert system is generally used at the top level of management, because expert system is generally used to take decisions regarding the strategy formation by the top level management. But KMS, that is knowledge management system, is a type of, again, a software that can be used at every level of the management. Every employee of the organization, they can access the KMS, and KMS can provide knowledge to all types of employees at all levels of management. They can easily post their query and they will quickly get the answer. So what are the advantages of using KMS? That definitely it helps to share the knowledge. The more the people will access the KMS, they can store their knowledge. If you have seen, certain times we have some help section in the software. You can assume that help section as KMS, because help section provides solution to every type of posted query, right? You can search any type of query and then you can get the result. So help section can be considered as a KMS for any organization or the employees, those who are using it. So it helps to share the knowledge. It helps to improve the quality of the information, because anyone who is accessing the KMS can store their knowledge into the database of the KMS software, right? It helps to give the quick response, because we are having the searching tools. You can post any query anytime. It helps to acknowledge the work of the employees, and even if the employees are moved at from one section to another or from one department to another, we can still retain the knowledge of the employee in the KMS, irrespective of its position or change in the organization. The sources of the knowledge of an organization, it can be internet, it can be data warehouse, that means the historical data, the DSS, groups, networks, internal expertise, all types of knowledge that can help to solve any type of problem from basic to higher problem. All types of knowledge that is stored in the KMS, and KMS can be used at any level of management. Basically the KMS that is used at the upper level, highest level of management, we name it as expert system. All the expert system is also a KMS. So KMS can be used by any type of employee on any type on any level of management. So what are the activities in knowledge management? The knowledge management starts with the business problem start, because we need to define. You have to post your query. You post your query, then it identify that what kind of strategy is required to address this problem. Then considering the process and the people, what kind of technical infrastructure is required, and finally the system is implemented, and whenever it is required, it is changed according to the queries and according to the problems. The knowledge is keep on updating in the KMS, and it is iterative, in iterative manner, in cycles we keep on updating the knowledge in the KMS. So these are the levels of knowledge management. At the lowest level we manage the knowledge in the form of documents. At the middle level we convert that documents, we use those documents to create the information, and finally that information is created and shared, and finally it is used to provide intelligence to the enterprise at the top level of the management. So these are the different information systems: TPS, DSS, expert system, EIS and KMS. I hope you have understood this. In the next video lecture we will be covering to introduction to IT and what is the impact of IT on the society. So thank you class.